Let me just cut to the chase and save you all of the waffle. Celtic are in a bad situation when it comes to signing a replacement for Kyogo. Since his departure, we've been linked with a few different strikers, and as the stories have went this afternoon going into this evening, it's all bad news for Celtic. Kvistgaarden, the talks have broken down. Kelechi Iheanacho, who we were linked with this morning, looks as though he's heading elsewhere. We have quite a lot to talk about, and what has turned into a bit of a disastrous couple of days left of this transfer window. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. We are now into February, a few days left of this transfer window, and it's going to be big. As I said, it's quite disastrous, not going to lie. We're not going to beat around the bush. We don't have a left back, we don't have a striker. A lot of these situations, for once, outside of the club's control. So we need to talk about it all. I'm not going to try and ruin your Saturday nights, so I'll be brief. Yeah, strap yourselves in nonetheless. The last few days of this transfer window have become desperate for Celtic. There is no denying that. And this evening, rapid reports have come out surrounding Celtic's chase for a striker in the last few days of this transfer window. That chase for a striker going very, very badly. Now, I know that the first impressions of this are going to be, Celtic to blame for this and that, the board this, Rodgers that. This really isn't Celtic's fault. And I know a few people will try and paint it in that way. Kyogo wanted to leave the club. We tried to hold on for him as long as possible so we could guarantee ourselves a place in the next round of the Champions League. We then let him go. He wanted to go. Having a replacement lined up for him was the toughest task. We did have our eyes on certain players. Those deals aren't possible. It's January. It's never easy to sign a player, let alone when clubs know you are desperate for a striker. That's when they will try and milk you dry. And that's exactly what has happened, because if you go to this post here, in the last hour, talks between Celtic and Brøndby for Matthijs Kvistgaarden have broken down. According to Anthony Joseph of Sky Sports, there was a gap in the valuation between the clubs for the striker. Celtic have moved on to other targets, and the talks are underway with Sevilla for striker Kelechi Iheanacho. However, if we just go up a little bit further, in the past 10 minutes before I started recording this video, thank God I held off. This was as of, let me just get the exact time, 20 to 6. Middlesbrough are believed to be leading the race to sign Sevilla striker Kelechi Iheanacho. Celtic have held talks with the La Liga side over a possible loan with an option to buy for the 28-year-old, but they could not strike an agreement. Discussions have not developed any further from the initial post, the initial story, which was earlier today. The initial story came out this morning surrounding Kelechi Iheanacho after a few days of quiet rumours. But deals are off the table, it seems, for both of them as things stand. Not ideal whatsoever. Matthijs Kvistgaarden is the one that I wanted. That was the guy that I thought was the surefire replacement for Kyogo. And once again, people will go, just give them the money, just pay what they want. We don't know what they want. The last that we heard, it was upwards of £10 million, but that was not a kind of surefire figure. That wasn't a guarantee. For all we know, they're asking for close to 20 million quid, and we just can't pay that. It's just, we're not going to see it happen. And I know some people might go, well, we have the money sitting there. It's not a calculated risk that Celtic are willing to take, I think. I don't think that there's much persuasion that can be done to get Celtic to spend an absolute shit ton, just to call it how it is, on a striker in this window. That's why we had to go and look at the likes of Kelechi Iheanacho on a loan deal to try and find somebody as a short-term fix. And it's just all falling apart. We're getting desperate. We find ourselves in a situation similar to last winter where we went for Adam Ida, and I think there was a little bit of a letdown. There was a little bit of pessimism surrounding the signing of Ida, and I, for one, was very guilty of that. We are now in that same position where we're having to go and sign someone who's maybe not hitting the heights, maybe not playing their best football or scoring goals every week, just to come in and fill a gap for the next few months. And as I said at the top of the video, I don't mean to sound like an apologist for anybody, whether that's the manager or the board. I don't think that's necessarily Celtic's fault. Should we have kept a hold of Kyogo? Yeah, ideally. But he wanted to go. And Brendan Rodgers made that abundantly clear that he wanted to go. There was no point in keeping him around for the fact of upsetting him or upsetting the squad. So we're not in a good position. when it comes to the striker department, we're really relying on Ida hitting form now. But I don't think there's anybody necessarily to blame for this. It's just a nightmare of a situation that is now spiralled in the last half an hour. And sadly, there's not much we can do about it. Not to sound like an apologist. I wasn't a huge fan of the Iheanacho suggestion in the first place. He's somebody who this season has been useless and, to be honest, hasn't been great for a while. Somebody who came and emerged through the Academy of Manchester City at a young age, looking really, really good, got the move to Leicester and still showed signs of a good player, but really didn't hit the high notes that people thought he would have, the potential that was there. It didn't quite happen. Now, we were looking at him. He's only managed to play 11 games this season for Sevilla. Hasn't scored in the league. I think he's only scored in the cup for them. It just didn't look like a good situation for us. However, I decided to give us the benefit of the doubt. I decided to be optimistic about it rather than pessimistic when I first heard the news, because I thought to myself, this is Ida all over again. This is Ida last season. When he came in, I said it's a terrible choice. He's not going to do good for us. And he ended up winning us a fucking double. But now, I can't even be optimistic about Iheanacho because it looks as though he's not coming. So, we are in a headache of a situation right now, which is not ideal. Now, on top of the stories that we've just discussed, there was this report from the Daily Record today that said yesterday, that Celtic were eyeing an £8 million replacement from Slovan Bratislava. He actually played against Celtic earlier this season, of course, in the Champions League victory. Apparently, we were looking at him, and the record said that they understand that we're looking for a new frontman before the window, and Strelic is one of the names on the radar. £8 million is a lot of money, of course, and once again, I think Slovan will see that we're desperate. So I don't think that this David Strelic option is exactly one that we can get excited about, because I don't think it's going to be possible. Slovan aren't going to want to part with a striker. Now, I know they don't have European football after the next couple of weeks. They're out of every competition, so that could obviously help. 15 goals this season, including a few assists as well. Looks like a good player on paper, but they will milk Celtic. They will say, we don't want 8 million, we want 15 million. So Celtic are really stuck between a rock and a hard place at the minute, between ending this window with no striker or overspending on some striker that could be a very big risk. You could sign the next Larsson. You never know. That's what the money could potentially do. But you could also be signing the next Stefan Skepovic. It's a horrible place to be in with days left of a window. So it's a disaster, to be quite honest. Celtic are not any closer to signing a striker in this transfer window. I will try my best to keep you updated over the next few days if Celtic do come close. There was another couple of players who were mentioned in the forums that we could go for a loan move on. Listen, I'll take whatever comes this way at this point, but I'm not going to quite jump into the conclusions of the forums and rumours yet. I'll wait to see what else comes out. Tomorrow is a big day for Celtic, to say the least. Just on one final note, does anybody else find it bizarre that Middlesbrough are the team that are meant to be landing Kelechi Iheanacho? Considering the fact that we're in the Champions League, we're winning trophies, could win a treble, etc, etc. We've shown the pathway for what a striker can do at Celtic and what the confidence of a player can do for their career. And he could be going to Middlesbrough, who I don't even think are a surefire for the playoffs this year in the Championship. A bizarre situation, and I don't know if it comes down to the deal itself, because Celtic want to have an option to buy him at the end of it. God knows. Weird, not good, panicking, to say the least. So very quickly, just to end off this quick edition of Celtic Transfer Talk, Luis Palma is gone. He has joined Olympiacos on loan till the end of the season. He is away. Good luck to Luis Palma, who sadly just hasn't done what we wanted him to do since joining Celtic. The ink on the contract was barely dry before they announced that in his absence, well, Jota is our new number 7. So I was right. I said that they'd wait till Ivan Nevrovsky or Palma was out the door to announce his shirt number, and I was right. So Palma's gone. Jota is Celtic's new number 7. Do the number 7 justice, wee man. And suggest a wee Portuguese striker to Rodgers maybe, because we fucking need one. Right, there wasn't even meant to be a video today. Saturday I was meant to take the day off until tomorrow. Here we are. I'm going to try and upload this quickly. If you've enjoyed, like and subscribe. Let me know your worries and pessimism and annoyance in the comments below. See you next time.